This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and TNA will forego the 2 vowels, debut Jessica Havoc next week, and have her break the beautiful people in half. I'm calling this episode It Happened, referring of course to what happened last week, because that's what TNA seemed to be mostly concerned with on this show, what happened last week, and to some extent what will happen next week. Not that this episode was bad at all, it just seemed like a big intermission in between shows that TNA was a lot more interested in. Like this opening segment with 3D, for example. Bully Ray talks about putting Dixie Carter through a table last week, and then the Hardys come out and they talk about all the classic matches that they had in the past, which, by the way, can be watched on the WWE Network for only $9.99 a month. And then they decide to have another match that night because why the hell not? So that match happened in the main event, and quite frankly, it was great. It was a great match. But as good as it was, I wasn't incredibly interested because, number one, I'm tired of reliving the past at this point, and number two, because I know it was only about setting the stage and killing time until the Wolves got involved in this, most likely next week. Impact Wrestling moves to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. That's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. Same time, same channel, different night. Then there was this X Division Scramble match to crown a new number 1 contender. Another really good match. No complaints about that at all. But it was really just about setting up a more important match for, you guessed it, next week. And I do appreciate that we're still getting a weekly match or segment devoted to the X Division, but what I really want to see from these guys right now is not a match, but a storyline of some kind. Where are the storylines here? I know what great X Division action looks like, and I do enjoy it as much as the next guy, but if it's just a bunch of matches we're getting from them, then I have little confidence that TNA won't just eventually lose interest again and let the X Division fade into the background again. The matches are great. Now, how about you give us a real feud with some substance to get invested in? Samoa Joe and Low Ki? That would be a good start. I thought it was worth pointing out how jovial Taz was about having no idea what the rules of this match were, even though it's kind of his job as an announcer to know what the rules of the matches are so he can explain them to us. Just saying, hashtag bring back Todd.
I got a factoid for both you guys. I got a boil on my ass.
Another segment that was more about stuff that happened last week. You've got EC3, Spud, and Rhino in the ring, pretty much just so EC3 can vent about Dixie going through a table last week until they piss off Kurt Angle so much that he has them taken away by police. And if anyone watching this has been pointing fingers, let me state for the record that this segment was taped before the Brie Bella arrest angle and before the Stephanie McMahon arrest angle, so if you think they were copying WWE here, just calm the fuck down already.
Oh, you were not aware of this?
Anyway, this segment probably wasn't strictly necessary. You could have cut it out and really not lost anything. But it was really selling the fallout of a big event and putting that over as a big important event. And I actually appreciated that. There have been so many times over the years when TNA would do some kind of major angle or have something really big happening, and then the next week they'd kind of forget about it and move on to something else way too fast without giving it a chance to sink in. Here, they're letting it sink in, putting over that the table spot last week really meant something and should not be forgotten. And that's why I'm glad they did this. Besides, EC3 and Spud were just hilarious here. Yes! However, then Kurt Angle had to go and ruin everything. Blatantly abusing his power as the executive director and doing the unthinkable. Having the hardcore American icon of wrestling taken away by, let's face it, some very shady and crooked-looking police officers that he obviously paid off. Carting off wrestling's greatest hero like a petty criminal? Like some kind of common thug? This is insanity! This is madness! Damn you, Kurt Angle, you callous bastard! Hashtag free EC3 and hashtag free Spud before he becomes a prison bitch.
The Rockstar Spud has left the building.
Rockstar Spud claiming diplomatic immunity. Impact Wrestling moves to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. That's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. Same time, same channel, different night. Another week, and I'm still just not into this Gunnar Shaw Anderson thing. This isn't resonating with me at all. Anderson is still being a dick about not trusting Shaw, so him and Gunnar try to settle their differences in the ring. Shaw gets involved, attacks Anderson, inadvertently costing Gunnar the match, but Anderson was kind of asking for it at the same time. Then Shaw is apologetic afterward, but Gunnar walks out on him. This angle is so confusing. I have no idea who the bad guy is supposed to be here, who I'm supposed to support, who I'm supposed to root against, and this segment did nothing to make that any clearer. The crowd wasn't into it, the storytelling was baffling. Frankly, nothing about this worked at all. Something that worked very well, in my opinion, was this six-man tag. Rude, Aries, and EY versus Team MVP. I like how they're incorporating Austin Aries into this, having him join Rude and EY to fight these guys. They had a really fun match that I thought was booked perfectly. First, they set up that Aries has a counter for Lashley's finisher and knows how to circumvent it, which protects Aries. And just when he's got Lashley reeling, MVP hits Aries with the crutch, which helps Lashley get the pin with his finisher anyway. Lashley needed a foreign object to get the win, yes, but that doesn't hurt him at all because he wins clean in all his other matches. In fact, this does more to build up Aries because it shows him to be someone that Lashley, a guy who's constantly winning matches clean, couldn't necessarily beat this time. So he had to go outside the box and get underhanded for a change in order to put Aries away. If the heel is cheating to win all the time, that doesn't work. But if he only cheats to win once in a while when he absolutely has to, that means something, and it says something about both characters. Really nice booking here.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Is TNA trying to turn James Storm into Raven 2.0 or something? I'm still not exactly sure where the writers are going with this, but I'll be damned if this vignette of Storm literally taking Sonata to the woodshed wasn't creepy as all hell. Storm's performance was brilliant here. I love the way it was shot all in one take. I think this angle is doing a lot to help revitalize Storm's character after he was misused for quite a long time, actually. I have more and more questions about this the further it goes, but I'm enjoying the ride so far. This is getting pretty interesting. They had this fatal four-way match for the Knockouts Championship. Gale and Taryn hit some nice dives to the outside. Those were cool. I like the little one-upsmanship thing they had going on there. Otherwise, Taryn looked like she might still be shaking off a little bit of ring rust, but she was working hard, so I gave her a break on that. Also, the beautiful people did some stuff, and I really could not care less about that. We all know this was just about delaying Gale versus Angelina, which will just be about delaying Gale versus Taryn, and I'm so tired of this. I'm sorry, but the fact that Velvet and Angelina are already teasing a breakup just a few months after they got back together proves exactly what a complete creative dead end this entire Beautiful People reunion has been. And maybe TNA are starting to realize that now that they have a viable new monster knockout heel in Jessica Havoc set to debut soon, who, unlike the Beautiful People, might actually be interesting. Thank God.
Oh, my brother! Testify!
I have a really big bone to pick with this Abyss Bram situation. Abyss really doesn't interest me that much anymore, but I was actually enjoying this feud because TNA were handling Bram so well. But then they had to bring in Janice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I've said this before, I will say it again. Janice is stupid. This isn't like hitting someone with a chain or a steel chair. This goes beyond pro wrestling. That is a fucking murder weapon. If you hit someone with Janice, they should be dead. At the very least, they should be off TV for a while selling the injury as something really goddamn serious. But Abyss gets hit in the gut with Janice last week. And here he is this week, perfectly fine, like he's not hurt even a little bit.
Oh, what a bunch of bull.
This happens every time someone gets hit with Janice. They try to build Janice up as the savage instrument of barbarism it should be if we're supposed to take this seriously, and then they throw the rules of reality out the fucking window, completely removing the threat it's supposed to pose to everyone by showing the audience that the danger isn't real because you can recover from it no problem. The end result being that you've taken a weapon that by all rights should be terrifying and you've turned it into a fucking cartoon. The next time Abyss no-sells a shot from Janice, he might as well just get on the mic and say, "You're despicable." Because there is no difference at all between that and Daffy Duck walking away completely fine after taking an Elmer Fudd shotgun blast in the face. I like Bram a lot. I think him and Abyss can have a great match next week. But this situation is completely fucked up. It's one thing to put them in another hardcore match just 2 damn weeks after they had a monster's ball, but when you make Janice the crux of the whole thing, right there, you've lost me. Okay, that kills the entire match for me. And I don't like saying that because I've really been enjoying this Bram push until now, but I have to call it like I see it. Stairway to Janice. For God's sake.
I will not participate in this charade this evening.
iMPACT Wrestling moves to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. That's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. Same time, same channel, different night. There was a lot more good than bad in this episode. The majority of the wrestling was good to great, and the main event kicked ass. But creatively, this show was mostly filler. Good filler, entertaining filler for the most part, but filler nonetheless. You can pretty much write this one off as a come-down show to let people catch their breath before hardcore justice. In that capacity, it was fine, but it also resulted in this particular impact feeling kinda skippable in the long run. iMPACT Wrestling moves to Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. That's Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern starting this week on August 20th. Same time, same channel, different night. There. I just promoted the move to Wednesdays more than Spike TV ever will.